So this is page 64, and we're talking about the presentation skills. So I wanted to show you the example on Monday, because we were talking about that presentation that you're going to do about food. So I wanted to give it to you as kind of an example, but we didn't talk about the skill yet. And the skill is doing a conclusion. And so what they want you to do is think about wrapping up your presentation with kind of a summary sentence or a conclusion that restates your main points. So the girl that we watched who was presenting about goulash, she said that it was healthy and low fat, and that her kind of very concluding statement was, "I hope you'll all try it." When we did our first presentations, if you remember about the products, your conclusion was supposed to be saying, "Do you recommend this product to the class?" So we're also going to kind of take that ending for the food presentation. It's a way to recommend to your classmates, summarize what you said about the food in just 1 or 2 sentences, and then recommend if you think the audience would like this food or not. When you give a presentation, you're talking about many ideas. You're talking about describing the food, when they eat the food, what the nutrition is. And so at the end, it's really important to kind of bring the audience back to your main idea again and summarize the main points or the most important things. So that's the skill. It's not really complicated. We don't really need to do a lot of practice for it. But on the vocabulary, I just finished doing vocabulary work with my 42 students. On your planning sheet for the presentation, it says that the conclusion, your conclusion should be written like page 64, which is this page. So now that we've talked about this, hopefully when you're doing your planning sheet, your conclusion is going to be if the food is healthy or not, with a 1 or 2 sentences of why. So when she talked about the goulash, she said it's low in fat and it has good vitamins in the vegetables. And the paprika is a kind of seasoning. If you've ever used it, it's like red powder that you can put on food that has vitamins in it. And then, like I said, she recommended to everybody to try it. So that's kind of how I'm hoping you'll do your conclusion for your presentation on the food. There's a few phrases. If you look on the opposite page on 65, these are some of the signals or the phrases you can use. I've tried to show you, meaning I've tried to show you this information as we've seen today, or to sum up, or you can just say in conclusion. You don't have to use any of these statements. We've seen that kind of means, we've seen today kind of means that we've looked at these points together. And then to sum up, we have sums in math. Some of you may have used sums when you do addition in math. But here when they say sum up, it means summary. A summary is the noun and sum is the verb. So when you sum up something, it means you're doing a summary. So to sum up means the same as in summary. So you can say, I have to get my pencil here. You can say in conclusion or in summary instead if you want to. So those are other phrases that you can use too. So any questions on this point? So that brings us to the end of chapter 5. This is a kind of a group project thing that we're not going to do, but you are going to use these skills when you do your presentations. So we're up to 13 students. At one point we had 14. Somebody must have dropped off. Hopefully they can get back in. And now we're back to 14. And we have 15 if Tom, Marie, and Nino are on the same computer together. So That's pretty good. We have 19 in the class, so that means we're missing 4 people. On the presentations, I want to just talk briefly about that. And everybody was supposed to work on choosing a topic, and you have till the end of the week to do your planning worksheet. So that's not a rush. That doesn't have to be today. You can finish it today or tomorrow or Friday, and put it in the folder. And then by Monday, when I meet with you again, I'll have your feedback on there, and we can keep moving forward toward the presentations next week. But as you can see from my list here, only 4 people have chosen their food yet. So the rest of you need to get on there and figure out what food you want to do. If you're not sure, what I told my class yesterday is, you know, if you go to a restaurant, for example, what's a food you like to eat there? So my husband and I, for example, we have a favorite Chinese restaurant, and I always like to order what they call the crispy noodles, which is like the it's like the noodles that you get with the vegetables and meat, but they fry the noodles first so they're crispy instead of soft. Or if you go to a Mexican restaurant, what do you like to order? Or if you go to a Thai restaurant or Italian, you know, or if there's things you eat at a special holiday that you like to eat, or a special birthday dinner, or some cultures, they get together like on a Friday night or a Sunday for a family meal all the time. What kind of foods do you eat then? So just think about foods that are either common in your experience or one that's a really special food that you really like. It would not have to be a food you like necessarily. It would not have to be a food that you know how to cook it, because you're not going to tell us how to cook it. You would just need to find a recipe with the list of ingredients. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about the presentation topics, like choosing your food? Does anyone have any questions about that?
I have about presentation that we need to fill out that worksheet that you post on D2L. After that, we need to post back to you. Oh.
Yes. So the worksheet is on D2L.
Yeah.
And you can either type on it or write it on a piece of notebook paper. And then you need to put it in this folder under assignments by the end of the week. So this is basically your homework for all week. I'm not giving you homework today to do over the weekend. You're going to just be working on your presentation stuff. So choosing your topic and putting in your worksheet. I'm switching the view so it looks like the student view. So when I click on the assessment list, it shows me the assignments folder. The vocabulary practice, a lot of people are still missing that. That's for points. So make sure you finish that worksheet and get that turned in.
I did that, but
yeah, a lot of people didn't. I think I only have 6. And then the food presentation goes in this folder where it says food presentation planning sheet. So you need to open that and submit your worksheet. If you don't type on the worksheet, you can write it out by hand and take a picture. And then you need to upload the picture in here. And I would like to say that I get lots of emails, especially right now with all the changes at school. I get extra emails about meetings that are either happening online or canceled. I get extra emails from students with questions and from other teachers that have questions. So if you email me it, I might lose it. I mean, obviously it wouldn't be lost, but it'd be buried in my computer somewhere. So I definitely want you to put them in that folder, even if it's a picture, even if you use your phone to take a picture of your worksheet. You should be able to log into D2L on your phone and still upload the picture from your phone into that folder. Okay?
Okay.
And as I said before, I'm hoping that you'll have that done by Friday or Saturday, which is still 2 or 3 more days.
Okay.
So when we download our the paper, so we can able to type it, right?
You can download it and type on it, right? If you want to type on it, you have to download it on something that has words. So if you're working on a phone, you might not be able to download it. And you don't even have to print it out to write by hand. You can just get a piece of notebook paper. So I have this, you know, I have this kind of notebook paper, and all you have to do is open the worksheet on your phone or on your computer or tablet and just write number 1 and write the information for part 1, part 2, part 3, and just keep, does anybody see this?
Yes.
Yes.
I have a spider. I have a spider on me now. It was just right down in front of my camera. When I was holding up the paper, you could see this dot going down. That was a spider. Sorry, I'm distracted. Write the numbers and all the information for each section just on paper like this if you want to. And then just take a picture of that. Okay? Just check the picture before you send it to me and make sure that the writing looks clear. Sometimes if you write with pencil, it's very light, so it's a little bit hard to see. So just make sure you make the photo real clear and not fuzzy, and then put it in that folder.
Write by pencil?
You can write by pencil, yeah, or pen, up to you.
Like print out, take a printout and write by pencil and take a picture, or you?
You can print it out and write on it, or you can just use notebook paper to write on if you don't want to print it.
Okay.
You can just use the printout kind of as your guide for what to put on the notebook paper, right? So I mentioned on Monday, if you're gonna write it on notebook paper, you wanna make sure that you look at the planning sheet and use all the sections that are on there to guide you as you're writing on your notebook paper. So every section has a number next to it. It's opening up here. It takes a second. Okay, I don't know why it opened that. That's from my other class. You see the spinning. That means it's waiting, waiting, waiting. My computer's been especially slow this morning, so thank you for your patience. It's not opening it. Maybe I have one in here. Oh, there it is. So, there, now it looks like a real document. So when you get to number 1, you're just gonna write on your notebook paper number 1 and then write the name of your food. Number 2, then you're gonna write your description. Number 3, then you're gonna answer this question. You do not need to copy these sentences onto your paper. Just make sure you have these numbers so I know what information you're putting, okay? And then it keeps going 4, 5, 6 on the back, and 7 is just for my information and your planning. It does not go on your slides, and you don't need to talk about it, but I do want you to write down any of the websites that you used. So if you looked up a recipe to find the information of what ingredients are in it, I want that on your worksheet. I mentioned on Monday, you know, if you look at a website to find out what's the vitamins in carrots or what's the minerals in broccoli, or, you know, whatever ingredients you look up to find the information on the nutrition, I want you to write the name of the website here where you found that. So it's always important when you're writing and presenting to include your source. Your source means where the information come from. Okay? So that's
I
number 7. So if you do all those numbers, then you should have all the information you need on your notebook paper. Nero, anything else?
the source means like where I found the what information about that things or
Exactly.
okay.
Source just means where something comes from. So if you're sharing information, we want to know where that information came from.
Okay. I think it's obviously the online.
Yeah, so if you
Internet.
do look online, so last time, if you remember, I did a Google search and I just put down, you know, carrots nutrition, and it takes me to a website. I actually think that the USDA website has nutrition on it. My internet's not opening properly today. I'm gonna close some of these other things so it's not so slow.
USD.
So if you Google it,
Yeah.
then it'll give you the name of the website. You can use the address at the top here in the address bar.
Oh yeah.
Everything on my computer gets slower when I'm using Zoom at the same time. Yes, I mean that. So USDA nutrition database, that's probably the most reliable because that's the one that the people who do all the government and agriculture stuff. And so you can search here. So you can either put this address or you can put the name of the website, which is what it just said on my search is the USDA nutrition database. So you can either put this name of the website or you can put the actual address of the website, just so I know what the source is. It's very easy, especially when you're Googling food, to find a source that's not a real source. So it could be someone, like my daughter has a lot of diet restrictions, and so she's looking online all the time for diet information. And a lot of times it's just somebody's blog where they're just writing about, you know, information that they know, but it's not really scientific, or you don't know if it's proven to be a true database or a true data information. So that's why I like going to the USDA site, because I know that's a scientific, reliable source of information. Okay, any other questions? So keep working on those worksheets. I have my phone number still on D2L. So if you have any questions, you can call or text me or send to my email a question as you're working. And again, I need a bunch of you to figure out soon which food you're gonna do. You obviously can't start planning anything until you've already chosen your food that you wanna report about. The other thing I wanna make sure you think about, which we'll decide on Monday, you need to think about if you want to do your presentation on the camera like this, live, like I'm talking right now, or if you want to make a recording of it and put it on D2L. So even if you make a recording, we're going to watch them all together. But watching a recording is easier than doing it live if you get nervous or are worried you're going to make a mistake. Okay. James, do you have a question or you're good?
I think it's good.
Okay. I'm just asking you because you had a mark by your name and I didn't know if that was old or if it was. You muted yourself, so I can't hear you anymore. Okay, so he's still muted if he unmutes it. There you go.
Oh,
You were muted.
it's only just one page or 2 pages. I can go to second pages. Second page.
For the planning worksheet?
Or for the, I mean, vocabulary worksheet at D2L.
I think there's only one page.
One page? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can look at it and make sure. Because it's just unit 5, so it shouldn't be that many words.
Vocabulary from the last week?
Yeah. So the vocabulary worksheet should be the one for the unit 5 words, which we went over last week and we finished up on Monday.
Mm.
Well, I must have it on my school documents and not on my home computer because I can't find it on here. But yeah, it should be one page of sentences, I think.
Yeah, I have a question. The test on Monday,
I'm sorry, what about
I have-
Monday?
the unit test on Monday.
No, because we're doing, our next test will be chapters 5 and 7 together. So we're finishing chapter 5, but now we're still going to do chapter 7. So next week we'll do presentations, and then the next week will be the test.
Next week presentation. Which day? Monday or Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Okay.
No, presentation is Monday, right?
No. I want you to have your planning sheets done this week. So when you come back on Monday, you'll have your feedback from me about your planning. So you'll know if you're on the right track and if you did everything correctly. And then Monday until Wednesday, you need to be working on putting the information from your planning sheet onto PowerPoint slides. And then Wednesday, if anybody's ready to present live Wednesday, we can do that. If you want to submit a recording, you could probably submit the recording
Tuesday.
Thursday or Friday. Just put it in the folder Thursday or Friday, yeah. So I was trying to look at our schedule again just to confirm the dates here, and I'm in the folder from my reading class still from this morning. So right now the presentation will be Wednesday the 15th, and the test will be Wednesday the 22nd. So the presentations are in 1 week from today, and the next test is 2 weeks from today. So yeah, after today, we only have 4 weeks left. It's going really fast when we miss 2 weeks. So in 1 week, we'll do the presentation. The next week, we'll do the chapter 5 and 7 test. And then we'll have 2 weeks left to finish the last unit. And then after those 2 weeks will be the final tests, and we'll do our unit test during that last final exam week, which will be the week of May 11.
That should be
That's
only
our-
a chapter test or whole?
Nope, it'll
Whole
just be a
chapter?
chapter test.
Okay.
We will not have a final exam that covers the whole book.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Not at all.
Okay, so we're up to 15 people, which is really great. And we're going to look at some discussion to preview our new topic. So if you can flip over in your books to page 80.
80. Okay.
Yep, 80. There's a picture there. And there's some questions about news. We skipped chapter 6. So chapter 5 was in our science unit. So the nutrition that we studied is in the science unit. And this unit is called media studies. And so if you notice here on page 79, it says media studies are the study of processes by which information is exchanged. So we have what we call print media, which means books, magazines, newspapers. We have electronic media, of course, which is like internet and podcasts. And so our new media topic is getting the news in the high-tech age. Does anybody know what the word high-tech means?
High technology.
Yep, tech is short for technology, perfect. And what does the high part mean then? Does anybody know what it means if you say something is high-tech?
Best.
Advanced, that's a good word for it.
Like level, high level, like a good level.
Yeah, it's a high level. It means the most modern, latest technology.
Yeah, the like latest.
Is it
So
technology?
this is a month ago or more, but do you remember I showed you a video in class about the car that did the parking by itself?
Yes.
You could get out of the car and it would drive
Yes.
into the parking spot by itself. That's
Yes.
high tech. That's a high tech car. Okay.
Okay.
So the high tech news obviously is the most advanced way to get news on the internet. And there's some questions here that I'm going to put you in your breakout rooms to talk about. This is page 80. And I saved the list from the breakout rooms from last time. So I'm going to put you back in the same rooms you were in before with the same people. We don't have exactly the same people, but I'll do it as close as I can. So I have to set this up here. Give me 1 second. I can't do the rooms in advance without using them. So I need to, here it is.
Chapter are we? Chapter 7 or chapter?
Yeah, we're going to chapter 7. We're skipping 6. We don't have time to do all the chapters.
Okay.
So we're doing one chapter for science and one chapter for media. So since I have these rooms, I should be able to do it pretty quickly here. 1 second. Every time I click on the breakout rooms, the image that I saved goes away. So that's not very efficient. It's not letting me look at both. So first we have Celia. Johanna has not been with us today, so she's not going to be in your group. But if I have an extra person, I might put them in there. I always put my hand on my mouth. Do you notice that? I'm sure you're all sitting there going, don't touch your face. Okay. Since Johanna's not here, I'm going to add Sorey to the first group with Celia, Nero, and that. The rest of you will all have 4 in your group. and talk about the 5 questions. I'll give you about 6 or 7 minutes. When I open the room, it's going to ask you to click on join. And when you're done, you can click on leave the room, but you can just keep chatting and I can pull you back when the time is up too.
Quick question.
Yes.
You mean this 5 question, which is page 80?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And make sure everybody talks about something. You may not all talk about all 5, but
Okay.
make sure you're all talking at least at some point during the discussion. Caesar, James, and Sunny, you have to click on join in order to get to your group. It looks like James stepped away. James, you'll have to join your group.
Okay.
Great. Let's see, I have 16.
I don't know, I think in the past that was not like that much information in the past, and nowadays, for example, there's a lot of pages, fake pages, and they are putting like a false information or fake information, and they are spray this information, and I don't know about the quality. I think the past quality maybe and the truthness, it was like more believable than nowadays.
Yeah. I do think that,
Yeah, I think these days have a fake news a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of fake
Fake
news
news,
nowadays.
Before in the past, there was only you know, the certain news and then very truth. I think so.
why do you think that there's getting to be more fake news?
Because of the internet and then technology, you know, these days.
Yeah.
They are making when they are
Because
opening the new pages and they are putting information. If you open this page, they are getting like money. They are making money, and they are putting like breaking news information. The title, everybody should open and read it, but it's not really true. So, like new technology.
Yeah, that's a good point, Nino.
I think actually I have the idea. Maybe like back in the days, like the media or the news was like exclusive for like some people like the government or whatever. So they just let you know what they want you. Not like right now. Right now they can control it. So there's many ways to get more reliable information.
When you say right now they control it, who do you mean? Who's they?
I mean like the government, like governments. Like in some countries or in most of the countries, back in the day, like there was like 1 channel or 2 channels just for the government, and they just let you know what they want you to know.
Yeah.
So they make like news, and they just make you believe it. So there is no other choice. The newspapers for the government, the channels for the government. That's it.
Yeah, they decide what you hear.
Right.
and now many people have the access to put the information, and it's more quickly than in the past.
That is true. Yeah. So there's a better quality as far as how fast we get the news. So that might be a better quality, but maybe it's worse quality for how accurate.
So this situation in this question, I think, has two sides, and to answer, you cannot answer this 100% that it's good quality and 100% that it's bad quality.
Yeah.
Like 50-50 maybe.
I do know that people do put up not only just fake news, but the way they report the news.
Yes,
They're
the
very
way.
motivated by selling
Yeah.
newspapers or getting people to come to their website and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they are trying to get interested the people, and they are putting like breaking news the title, but the statement it's not. It is not really interested like the title.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's all about the reputation. If there is like a specific like channel or whatever like has good reputation, so there is like more follower and more people they like interested in getting the news from that channels.
Yeah.
There is bad reputation, so there is nobody will force you to watch it, so it's fine. You just
yeah.
unsubscribe it, watch something else.
That's very much connected to what we were saying about the source of information when you're looking for nutrition. When you're looking for news, you have to consider where's the information coming from.
Yeah.
And even when you do a Google search, some people pay to have their information on Google. So I don't know if you have ever had this happen, but when you Google something, so this was my search for the nutrition for the carrots. I specifically asked for a government website, so that didn't do the same thing. But usually at the beginning of Google, oh, it's not on here. There's a section that says ads next to it, and we did advertising. It's not doing it depending on what I search on, but a lot of times there's at the very beginning of your search, it'll say ad. So I know one that'll definitely have, whoops, I have to do my typing correctly. This will definitely have ads. So if you were going to type learning English, oh, it's still not here. Why is it not giving me the one time I want to see an ad, I can't find it. Well, some of you know what I'm talking about because some of the websites are going to say at the front here, it's going to say ad right here before the URL, before the web address. It'll say capital AD, which means it's an advertisement, which means that the people who have that website have paid money to get their website to be at the top of the list, right? So a lot of it's very motivated about making money these days.
Yeah.
So the next page is going to be the only homework assignment I'm going to give you this weekend because I know you're working on your planning sheets, but I do want you to read this article about the nature of news. It's shorter. You'll notice the questions are on the same page here, so it's shorter. So we're going to just do this one page because you mostly have to focus on your presentations, but I do want to talk a little bit, even though this isn't homework, I do want to talk about the vocabulary words that we're going to be doing this chapter. My thing is, so this is page 82 if you're following along in your book. Otherwise, you can just look at the screen. There, that works a little better. I already talked about the word media. And actually, we use the word media when we're talking about art also. So you may have heard this word in different uses. Media is the plural form of the word medium. And we all know the word medium as a adjective. So I bought a large shirt, size large shirt or a size medium shirt, right? This means medium, the noun. So media is a noun. And a medium is just a material that something is made out of. So when you're talking about news, the media can be either print media or electronic media, right? When you're talking about art, paint is one medium for art. Sculpture, so like rocks or wood sculpture or glass sculpture. Different kinds of paints, different kinds of materials that they use for art. Those are all called photography. Photography is a medium for artwork. So that also is used in other areas besides just news media. Number 2 is access. And we've had access before, but maybe that was a different class. Access is a noun or a verb. The way it's used here, it's a noun. And both C's in access make a sound. So the first one sounds like K, and the second one sounds like S. So it's access. Access. Number 3 is an adjective, in depth. That's ADJ. If you can't read my writing, that's for adjective. Number 4 is reliable. And that comes from the verb to rely on someone, and that's also an adjective. ABLE is an adjective ending, and it goes on verbs. Number 5, accurate. I already used that word when we were talking about the news. Accurate is also an adjective. So we talk about news being accurate or your answers in a test being accurate. Number 6 is feature. The T sounds like ch, so it's feature. That's a noun. Number 7 is a phrase, to get informed. Get is a verb. And informed is an adjective. So that's a phrase, which, as you might guess, to get informed or be informed means you have information, right? So if you watch the news, you're informed about what's going on in the world. To be totally honest, I've kind of pulled away from the news, meaning I'm watching less and less news all the time because it gets really hard to hear. All they just keep reporting is how many people die, and it's just too sad. I can't really do it very well or handle it very well, so I quit watching the news sometimes. So I am not very informed right now, but that's okay. Number 8 is print, and print is a noun. So we have the verb print, like I had to print my essay to give it to my teacher, right? That's the action of printing something off. But we also have a noun print. And as you might guess, it has to do with writing or written things. And then our phrase down here is keep up with. Keep up is a verb, a phrasal verb. And we use it with the adjective, with the preposition with. If you're keeping up, what does that mean? Does anybody know that phrase, to keep up?
To continue.
Okay, kind of like continuing.
It's like if you have some information, like keep this information and be involved all the time.
Yeah, so the answer is B. So it is related to continuing. but it specifically means to like know and keep getting more information about something. So they're talking specifically here about keeping up with international events or national events or local events. That means you stay up to date with everything that's going on with those because you're reading the newspaper every day. And we use it a little bit differently in some situations. We can say you keep up with your homework. And it doesn't mean you're continuing to learn about homework. It means you continue to do your homework and stay on schedule. So keeping up has to do with getting everything done in time and being ready on time and all that stuff. So we also use it for actual movement. So if you are going for a walk with someone and they walk slower behind you, you'd say to them, keep up, keep up. That means come up here and get up to speed, so to speak, up to the pace or the speed that I'm walking. So those are our vocabulary words. They're obviously going to be on the test along with the chapter 5 vocabulary words you already worked on. You might be able to just find the definitions right now. A lot of them you know or you worked on already. But I'm not going to assign them for homework right now because I just want you to worry about the reading and then the presentation sheet. And as I mentioned before, we're not doing any lab times in the computer lab, and we're doing some of the presentation work independently. So that's why I'm going to be having class a little bit shorter today. The last thing I just want to look at is on page 83. Move my camera over here. So this is our new listening strategy. It's lecture language. The last chapter we talked about signaling examples in chapter 5. The signals we're going to be looking at this time is phrases or words that they use to signal information that's important. So that means they're stressing this information. They want to make sure that you know that it's an important piece of information and that it's something you need to put in your notes. Sometimes they are saying that it's important because it's going to be on the test. Sometimes it's important because it's a key or important piece of information. So these are some of the signals that people use when they're talking about important points. It says in the description up here that when you hear these signals, it means you should pay special attention to that information and be sure to write that down in your notes. So the professors usually are pretty good about giving you clear signals about something that's either going to be on the test. They want to make sure you know it's important to remember and learn, or it's important for life or for the subject. So here's some examples of the signals. They might just say straight out, listen to this. This is important, listen, right? Sometimes teachers will say you should be writing this down. That I think is pretty common, and I know I do that. You know, if I'm writing down something on the board with related to our vocabulary or grammar points, and I'm writing it down, I would often say to students, if I'm writing it on the board, then you should be writing it on your notes. It means it's important enough that I want you to see it. Another method or way that teachers emphasize important information is by repeating it. And sometimes they just repeat it. And so if you hear it a second time, you think, oh, they're stressing that point. Or sometimes they actually say, let me repeat it, or I'm going to repeat that, or I'll say that again. Both of those two mean the same thing. Let me repeat that, or I'll say that again. Usually that means I'm repeating it to make sure you get it written down, because sometimes it's hard to write it down fast enough if you only hear it once. But if they repeat it, that means they want you to write it down. I want to point out means I want to point special attention to this, draw special attention to this point. And it's kind of a way of, you know, if there's something on the screen or something on the board that I show you, I'm pointing to it or showing you that specific idea. It's important to note, this is the word note as a verb. We take notes, which is a noun, but this is a verb, note, meaning, which means to make a note of it, which means it's important to write this down. Pay attention is really exactly the same meaning as saying listen to this. That means make sure you're paying attention and listening. I want you to notice. So a lot of times if an instructor's talking about a point, they want to make sure you notice something about that point, so they'll talk about that. The bottom line, this is a really strange expression, and they have it in our lectures and in the examples, but I don't feel like I hear it very much. But the bottom line is what we call it when it's like, this is the main concluding point, or if I was going to summarize this, this would be the main point that I want to make sure you get through. Out of everything I'm saying today, I want to make sure you get this point. The bottom line always means like what it comes down to in the end as the most important information. And here's another way to say it. Here's the bottom line. And then here's the one I mentioned already. Sometimes the teacher will just say, pay attention, this is going to be on the test. And I know I've done that a lot. A lot of times if I'm talking about a skill, either like these skills or a skill in my reading class, or on a grammar exercise, I will say to my students, you need to know this for the test, or you need to be able to do this on the test, or this information will be on the test. Okay, so those are all the signal words. I'm gonna open it up if anybody has a question. Almost all of you are muted except just a couple, so if you have a question, you might need to unmute yourself. Any questions? Okay, either everybody fell asleep or I'm a great teacher because everybody understands everything, right?
Yeah.
I know if you're sitting on your couch looking at your computer, it's easy to fall asleep though. Okay, so there's two practices here that we're going to just look at quickly. An excerpt just means a piece from something, so it can be an excerpt. This happens to be an excerpt from a lecture. You can look at an excerpt from a book or an article, which just means it's part of the book or part of the article. It can be an excerpt from a speech. So a lot of times, if the president or the director of the Department of Health or somebody gives a speech, they might put a short part of it in the newspaper or online or on the news. They call that an excerpt. It's kind of a hard word to say because you're really not saying the C, it's just excerpt. So this is excerpt 1 and excerpt 2. And each of these is going to have lecture language in it that signals an important piece of information. So look at those quickly and see if you can find those signals.
So we are looking this excerpt 1 and 2 to find signal words?
Yes.
Okay.
I think excerpt 1, I wanted to point out the kind of news. Okay. And excerpt 2, it's important to note that Okay.
Okay, I think I'm done.
Great.
Done too.
I
Alright.
think everybody should be done by now. I had an email pop up. I was just looking at it quick.
Mhm.
So the first one, they say, I want to point out.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is signal words.
And so they're talking about people depend on news.
Yeah.
And the kind of news they look for is news that affects their lives. So they want to stress the fact that a lot of people are not reading about world news or about news from other places as much as they want to hear about news about what's happening right in Minnesota or what's happening, you know, in the economy that'll affect us. Some of you are probably set up on your computers for news to come up from your home country, right? If your home country is in the news, you might get a little notice about an article that has something that mentions your country, or you're looking at news from your country now during the virus crisis. My daughter, I've mentioned before, lived in Zambia for 6 months, and she has her news set up that if there's any news about Zambia, you know, sometimes there's a strike there, or something happening with the government, or you know, they don't have any crisis there like a war or anything going on, but she just wants to stay aware of what's going on because she knows so many people that live there now. And my other son, he has the same thing for Haiti because he's been to Haiti a couple times. And so if there's ever things going on with the politics or the economy in Haiti, he wants to see that news. So you can actually program your news to give you I think they send you an email if there's a news story that comes up with the country or the topic that you're interested in following. In excerpt 2, what did you find there?
It's important to note.
Important to note that.
Yep. So right in the middle here, it's important to note that reporters are looking for trends to report as news. So trends about stores, trends about workplaces. Trend is a change. So we talked before, especially in our marketing unit, we talked about if sales are going up or down, that's a trend. A lot of people watch what we call fashion trends, which means what are the newest trends or the newest things about fashion and what people are wearing. Some of you follow trends about movies, like what movies are the most popular or which games are the most popular. And then obviously for work and school. So those are the signals. We'll have some more practice next week. We're not going to do page 84 yet. We're going to do that practice next week. So all you need to do for the weekend, and we've been going about 75 minutes, which is a little bit less than our normal time, but we aren't doing a break anymore. And we aren't going to be going to the lab to work on our, normally I would take my students to the lab to do the research for your nutrition, and you're going to have to do that on your own. So that's why we're doing a little bit less class time. This is going to be your only homework on page 81, along with your planning worksheet.
So our homework is just read this statement and answer these 3 questions.
Yep, and then finish your planning worksheet for the presentation.
Oh yeah, sure.
That's the big one, actually. This
Yeah.
the textbook is the small homework assignment.
Yeah.
The bigger, longer one is going to be planning for your presentation. So before we go, I need everybody to vote again. If you can open the participation box. So you can see everybody's name. You can click on yes or no, or you can use the chat box. My question is yes or no. Oh, you can't say yes or no yet. I didn't ask the question.
Yeah.
The question is, do you know how to make a PowerPoint slideshow? I know some of us did it in the fall. Some of you were in my fall class, so I know some of you have done it. But you can still click no, even if you were in my class, because it's something you'd have to work on your own. And I'm just curious if people feel like they know what they're doing, if we're going to build slides for this presentation.
Please, teacher, ask again.
Can we say one yes? We're two.
Sure.
Both of us, I know, we know how to do it.
Okay.
Do you? Ask again, please.
Do you know how to make PowerPoint slides?
Okay.
So I haven't heard from Lee or Sunny. And Lee's not on his camera, so I'm not sure he's still sitting there. Sometimes people have to get up and step away. Lee, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
You know, do you know how to make PowerPoint?
Yes, I know.
Okay, perfect. Sunny? Do you know how to make a PowerPoint? He might be on a phone because he doesn't have video. That's fine. Sunny, do you know how to make a PowerPoint? Are you there, Sunny?
Yeah, but I don't have PowerPoint.
Okay.
Yeah, I
You
do
have a
not have
computer?
PowerPoint.
Do you have a computer or are you using your phone?
Yeah, I'm using phone. I'm using desktop, but I do not have PowerPoint.
Okay, so anybody who's a student at Century, you can get PowerPoint for free. Did you know that?
Yeah, I know that.
Okay.
No, I don't know how.
Okay, anybody who's a student at Century, we have a subscription for Century that everybody can get it downloaded, and you can actually download it up to 3 devices. So I loaded it on my laptop and my computer, for example. I will put the link on D2L about where you go to download it, and what you're actually downloading is called Office 365. So that includes Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, and there's a couple other things in there that I don't use.
It is on OneDrive.
I'm not sure about that. I'm not very familiar with OneDrive. But again, as I mentioned earlier, Peter is working online these days, even though he's not at school.
You need to
So
go on My Century.
yeah, it's on My Century. If I'm going to show you 1 second, but if you have any trouble with downloading something like this, you can email Peter and set an appointment to show you.
My Century and then OneDrive.
Well, I'll show you. This is the way I found it. I'm not sure how you can go, but this is century.edu, our homepage. If you click on students here, do you see that?
Yeah.
One of the categories for students is technology. And it says here, download Microsoft Office. Can you see that?
Yes.
So if you click on that, then it will tell you all the stuff you need to know. And it's a free download for students. And it'll tell you how to do it on a regular computer or on a Mac, if you have a Apple computer. But
Okay.
I'll put this link on D2L so you can find this. So now, Sunny, if you get that loaded, you could build a PowerPoint, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I don't know if he's there. So there are still 3 or 4 of you that aren't sure how to do it. Oh, there's like 5 or 6 of you. Some of you are new, so you haven't used this before in another speaking class. This is actually our second speaking class. So some people took one in the fall. And actually I was their teacher. And so some of you have done this before and some of you have not. So I think on Monday we'll have our class time, and I'll try and finish about this time. So this was about 80 minutes. Our class time is normally 100 minutes. So I took off about 20 minutes for
Thank you.
going to the computer lab. So when we meet on Monday, we'll do our regular class time. And then at the very end, if you want help building a PowerPoint, you can stay on for like the last 10 minutes and I can show everybody how to do it, okay? If you already know how to do it, then you would be free to leave. But we'll do it at the end of class on Monday.
Okay, okay.
So now I'm gonna get rid of all the check marks and ask if anybody has any more questions, because now I'm wrapping up. Yeah. James, you have a question?
Is it no?
It looked like he put his hand up, but he might have been just reaching for something. And Ham says no question.
Shayla, take out your hands from on your face.
Me?
No,
Oh, Celia?
Celia.
Celia, they're saying to not have your hand on your face.
Like you have your hand in your face too, how you're telling her.
I do. I just, every time I use my computer, I wash my hands. And so I know my hands are clean, but, and it's funny, I go like this and I put my finger on my lips like this. And I always laugh because my mother did that all the time.
Yeah,
I remember when I was a girl seeing my mother sitting like this, watching a show, or at the dinner table when she's done eating, she sits like this.
yeah.
And now I do it. I'm just like her. So sometimes we're like our parents, whether we like it or not.
Yeah, it's like hard to like all the time remember don't touch your face.
I know,
Because
it's a habit.
I read that usually daily people touching their face like at least 2,000 times.
A
Yeah.
day?
Daily, at least
Oh, my
2,000
goodness.
times.
No wonder it's hard.
Yeah, so it's really hard like to always keep your mind, don't touch your face.
I'm not too worried about I'm not too worried about germs though, because I haven't been anywhere in 2 weeks. I haven't been to any stores. I'm not going to church. I'm not going to school.
So you're just in your home and that's it? You're not going out?
Well, I went out for walking, but not touching anything.
Oh, okay. So you are clean of these germs, of the germs.
I hope so. I'm trying to be very careful. So everybody stay healthy. Have a good weekend. If you do not have any questions, you're welcome to leave the meeting. If you do have questions, I'm going to hang around a few minutes. You can stay on for an extra minute or two and ask me. But otherwise, goodbye to everybody and have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Yes, I'll see you tomorrow in grammar class. But everybody else, I won't see till Monday.
Okay.
Oh, Abdi, I'll see you in grammar class too.
Yep. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Have a good night.
Okay, thank you, bye.
Have a nice weekend.
Li Cheng, are you still there? Did you have a question?
Oh, I'm sorry. Not so far.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Thank you.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.